Hey gang, on this very special episode of Movie Feuds, it's a four-way shit show as I talk about some of the worst animated films I've ever seen. As a bonus, I've updated the set along with the help of my terrible interns, and we also brought back an old favorite, the pun counter. So please be excited. Let's go. Stings how much these movies waste their talent. Seinfeld is my favorite TV show comedy of all time, so it really bugged me when I heard Jerry Seinfeld voicing a young bee named Barry. Matthew Broderick voices his buddy Adam, and here again he continues to prove to the world that his fun, charismatic performance as Ferris Bueller was a one-time fluke. John Goodman, Oprah Winfrey, Rip Torn, Kathy Bates, and Chris Rock can be heard as well. Patrick Warburton, who I typically enjoy, just annoyed me as Ken. A terrible human being who for some reason hates bees. How awful. Barry's human love interest, you heard me, is voiced by Renee Zellweger. Oh yes, there is a bee version of Larry King named B. Larry King. He has no idea there's a human counterpart, so why he puts B in front of his name is anybody's guess. None of the other bees do this. That's like me saying, call me human Adam Olinger. What the fuck? But trying to understand logic in these films is trying to figure out how a sequel to Nut Job got made. Perhaps I should just mind my own beeswax. Right? You thought B-Movie had a lot of big names. Well, Angry Bird says Toucan play at that game. Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad, Danny McBride, Maya Rudolph, Bill Hader, Peter Dinklage, Sean Bean, Keegan-Michael Key, Kate McKinnon, Hannibal Buress, and a plethora of other actors' names I probably butchered. Was it worth it? Actors? Was it worth it? Probably actually a very easy job. You just go in for a few days, record your voice, put very little effort into it, get a nice big check, you're on your way. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, bada penis. This is the giant list of actors voicing birds and pigs. Jason takes lead as Red, a bird who gets his feathers ruffled far too often. He eventually befriends a bunch of fellow anger management attendees, Chuck, Bomb, and Terrence, because birds of a feather flock together. Speaking of AIDS, let's talk about the voice talent in Norm of the North. Leading things off is everyone's favorite hot chick, Rob Schneider, trading his gigolo status for a Jon Snow, King of the North sort of situation. Unfortunately for the audience, Norm never gets violently stabbed to death. Much like Seinfeld's Bee, he too befriends a human named Vera, voiced by Heather Graham. Unlike Barry, however, I don't believe Norm ever wanted to pollinate her flower, if you catch my drift. Put his stinger in her honey pot, if you know what I'm saying. Give her a big ol' shot of B9. That one didn't work. Ken Jeong plays the bad guy, money-hungry Mr. Green, although the real villain is the film's existence. The Norm of the North writing staff realized that Minions are really funny and popular, so they worked out their own batch with the creation of the Lemmings, lovable little scamps who scurry along with Norm on his wacky adventures. They should really be killed with fire, but as we all know, that wouldn't work anyways. It would only make them stronger. The only way to really, truly kill a lemming is with dragon glass. Game of Thrones is back on. Sorry, I'm half in this. I can barely stand to talk about Norm of the North any longer, so let's take a beeline to the Emoji movie lineup. These are awful, aren't they? T.J. Miller plays Gene. He's meh. Anna Faris plays a spunky, no boys allowed game jumper named Jailbreak. She's also meh. James Corden plays Five Finger Death Punch, a badass motherfucker who brandishes a band-aid on one of his digits from all the aggressive finger banging he's done over the years. Not really, his name is High Five. Also meh. Maya Rudolph is back, baby, just cashing another Sony check. Good for you, girl. She voices Smiler. Not Slimer, Smiler. It's confusing because Sony also produced that wonderful Ghostbusters film that came out last year. They're really nailing it on all fronts, aren't they? Patrick Stewart plays a literal shit in the same year as he had his powerful performance as Professor Xavier in Logan. The dude can do anything in my book, though. He's gold all around. He probably recorded this on his phone while taking a shit in an afternoon, so good for him. Sofia Vergara, Rachel Ray, Jeffrey Ross, Christina Aguilera, and many more random walks of life are here to market this fucking trash to as many fan bases as humanly possible. Quick, we need to drive in the middle-aged cooking crowd. Get Rachel Ray to do a voice and have her spam her audience on Instagram. She plays spam in the movie. Sorry, I should have led with that. This is awkward. Oh, this cast segment is already running long, but luckily the next round will go really fast, since it's the story category, and none of these have one. Most of these films have the same tired cliche you've seen a dozen times over, and they're far less interesting. The B movie is actually 10 different stories jammed into one film, so you get a lot of B for your buck. Barry doesn't want to die doing the same laborious job day in and day out, so he seeks to find something more than his provincial life. That story takes a sharp turn when he starts talking to a woman and finds out bees and humans aren't so different. It's your traditional love story. Bee meets woman, bee falls in love with woman, bee takes woman back to his hive. Yada yada yada. Woman's making bee pancakes in the morning. Oh, behave, Adam. That's not how this played out, and you're right. It's not. Because the movie flips again. Now Barry wants to sue the human population for stealing their hard-earned honey. It finally ends in the Save the World event where the bees have to repollinate the parks. And in some form of M. Night Shyamalan twist, a cow talks to Barry, the now lawyer, at the end of the film. So can all insects and animals speak English? Just one of the many questions I didn't bother caring to know the answer to because the movie sucked. Angry Birds is the story of a 10-minute plot being stretched to 90. It features everything you love about the game in the last fourth of the flick. Birds getting launched out of a slingshot and breaking lots of shit. This is sadly the best film on the list for me, but that's like saying this bowl of dicks is better than that one because there's some chocolate syrup drizzled on top. At the end of the day, you're still eating a bowl of dicks. This one's just a little bit sweeter. Which is a bit ironic because there's nothing sweet about the Angry Birds film. It's actually pretty harsh and ugly and mean-spirited. Our lead character, Red, pretty much hates everything on his island, from his job to his fellow birds. And I don't blame him either, as they're all clueless, ignorant, and straight-up foul creatures. After 30 or so minutes of nothing happening, the pigs finally arrive and manipulate the islanders into thinking they are just friendly visitors. There's a party, everyone goes hog wild, and eventually the truth is revealed: the pigs are only there to steal the precious eggs for a nice meal back home. It's an elaborate ruse, one that I can't foresee having much payoff in the long run. I mean, they really only have enough eggs for like 1 or 2 meals. These may be pigs, but man, do they have bird brains. Count that. The birds finally use their damn slingshot and make a huge mess of the castle. Turns into a real pigsty. Moral of the story? I'm not really sure. Don't trust foreigners. There's no message at all in Norm of the North. Nothing makes sense. Norm can talk because that's a thing polar bears can do for reasons. He's all bug hurt that people are scared of him. He's also an entertainer that loves to dance and do cool bear tricks. This comes in handy when some people see him bust a nut on the ice. That's not the right expression. This somehow leads to the most perplexing plot idea ever conceived. Mr. Green wants to build condos in the Arctic and thinks Norm is the perfect spokesperson to do this. Oh yes, and almost all the humans think Norm is a person in a costume because stupid. Eventually, Norm and his dumb lemmings head to the big city in a fish-out-of-water event unlike anything you've ever seen, complete with fish tank pissing, random breakout dancing, and illogical situations. It's the polar opposite of anything a person over 14 would write. You could say it goes against the norm. Emoji Movie's the plot of Wreck-It Ralph, the Lego Movie, and Inside Out, without any of that pesky humor, emotion, or fun. Instead, it opts to have tired jokes, awful characters, and product placement everywhere. Nothing screams entertainment to kids more than watching a couple yellow circles bouncing around music waves in Spotify, or trying to crack a password to get into Dropbox. It's a shame they didn't stumble into an Excel document. That could have been quite a ride. Gene is a meh emoji, but he can actually do multiple expressions. It's fucking crazy. When he's unable to control his feelings during the selection process, chaos ensues. The high school owner of the smartphone thinks it's broke. So now it's a race to the finish for Gene and his fucking friends to save the day or something. Whole thing caps with a song and a dance, as is often the case. This doesn't really matter at all, because without a good story, the fresh coat of paint is doing nothing more than masking the urine-stained walls underneath. You can still smell it though. You know it's there, you know it's urine. Angry Birds easily looks the best. Clearly they pumped some good money into this one, and it shows. The characters and the environments are well detailed, the destruction at the end is awesome, and the yellow Quicksilver bird provides some nice little moments mixed in with this diarrhea. An eagle peeing for 30 seconds into a pond has never shined nicer. The glow off the urine stream is a sight to see. Every piece of pee particle is accounted for, glimmering, sparkling in the sky as it touches down onto the pond. It's quite beautiful. It's quite exquisite. Norm of the North is not one to shy away from a good old-fashioned pissing contest. It's a shame it's not remotely in the same league. Their A squad of animators must have flown south for the winter, so it was up to the B squad to handle the job. They must have been mass murdered, and what was left were their pets. So Kibbles and Pugsy had the task of bringing Norm and his ugly friends to life on the big screen. If you would have asked me when I thought this movie came out and I didn't know the answer already, I would have guessed 2003. Certainly not 2016. It's remarkable how ugly this looks, from its spastic animation to the emotionless expressions. B-Movie came out in 2007, almost 10 years earlier, and somehow looks better. Which is saying a lot, as B-Movie looks pretty terrible. The humans are creepy as hell, and the visuals are lifeless most of the time. Speaking of lifeless, we're back to Wreck-It Emoji again. It's not bad looking by any stretch, especially when you consider the material they're working with. There's just nothing creative by a long shot, and some of the apps they go in are downright lazy. The Just Dance segment feels like it goes on for an hour, and there is nothing of interest to look at. The only good thing that comes out of that scene is the amazing emoji pop dance. I'm being sarcastic, but I previously countered that with my superior version, simply known as the Adam Dick dance. A candy-coated assortment of penis play you can rub along with. Featuring new moves like the Sander, the Fountain of Youth, Swing Baby Batter Swing, the Corkscrew, Flossing, Corn on the Cob, Bongos. And you bring that all together for the Adam Dick dance. There's music in all these movies too. That is all. This is shit in its purest form, and I wasted no time belittling them. Some will use the tired argument that these are kids' movies and don't need to make any sense. Well, I don't believe in that line of thinking. They deserve better than these hammy, pandering, product-promoting, lazily written garbage heaps. And I'm sorry for the foul language in this episode. I've given you my take, and now it's your turn to unload. Leave a comment, vote for your winner, and remember, this is more than just reviews. This is Movie Feuds. And much like these shows, I too am not above lazy, terrible writing. So we're going to end this with a fantastic dance party. Hit it! Oh, here it is! Here it is! Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to check me out on social media platforms for credibility purposes. Intern Sheila should be putting up some graphics for you to digest, I believe. Otherwise, you'll be out on the curb like your mom. Gotta move on. You can also check me out on patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. Throw me a buck or two if you want. I run this channel alone. It's almost a full-time job, honestly. Thanks for your time. Sheila, the graphics, now.